Hello, everybody. I'm here today with a headmaster who works in Trundle in the central west of New South Wales. His name is John Southon. Hello, John.
Hi, Tina.
Great to have you here. Tell me where Trundle is.
Well, if you put a pin on a map in the middle of New South Wales, you just about get Trundle. We're about 6.5 hours west of Sydney.
Yeah, sort of pretty much dead west, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And this is sort of cattle, wheat. How would you describe the country?
It's mainly sheep and wheat
Sheep.
farming. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but very much a rural setting. And you've been
absolutely.
at this, what's quite a little school for 34 years. Is that right?
I've been with this school for 14 years as principal, but I've been with the department for 34.
Yeah, yeah. That's a long time.
It is a
And
long
you,
time.
yeah, yeah. So you must be incredibly well known in that community.
Yeah. The school's basically the hub of the community, both
Yeah,
socially and for education, social welfare, sport. So,
yeah. And but last year you got into trouble. I mean, you
yeah.
caused a little bit of a fuss with your newsletter. You write a regular newsletter, and suddenly you found yourself featured on the Today Show and in local newspapers, having caused a great controversy.
Yeah, well, I wrote, as you said, I write the newsletter every fortnight. I like to use the newsletter to lead debate in the community.
Yeah,
Um, I actually said that I think that the stereotyping of boys as being violent is terribly detrimental to their well-being and their concept of self. I said that mental health is a problem in the country. I've actually, in my 34 years with the department, I've had 11 beautiful young men suicide.
oh,
So it's just an horrendous issue. And I was basically saying, Tina, that if we continue to stereotype every boy
yeah,
under the heading of being violent, eventually some of those boys are going to take on that label.
yeah,
And I think it's incredibly damaging.
yeah. Um, So I would have thought that's a pretty innocuous statement, and
Me
yet,
too.
here we have this headline. I'll show the newspaper report. Principal causes uproar over controversial view on new domestic violence laws, and then there was also the television, as I mentioned. So the other part of it you were talking about was the coercive control laws, which were introduced last year in New South Wales. And tell us a little bit about what you said about that.
Well, basically, I said it's really difficult as an educator to inform and enlighten young men, especially about what coercive control is, if we don't actually have a definition that's
Mhm.
clear, concise, and able to be understood by the teenage mind. I would have thought that's a fairly, again, innocuous statement, and it's certainly, I suppose, to use the teenage term, went viral for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I gather there was a local domestic violence victim who objected to these various statements you made, and she presumably reached out to the media. And that's all it takes. I mean, that's what's extraordinary about these debates, that the media can create a fuss out of nothing as a result of one person finding something you say objectionable.
I think it stifles the debate around the issue. It actually puts us back with fighting domestic violence, because if I'm not allowed to open debate in my community for the fear of being ostracised and disciplined and all these types of things that happen to you, it
Mhm.
actually reduces my ability as an educator to inform young men and empower them. I always believe that a strong, healthy-minded young man is not violent. I said in the article, I've been teaching for, at the time, 33 years. I think I probably taught two young men, and I taught in juvenile justice and behaviour settings as well, that I would describe as naturally violent.
Yeah.
And so if we start grouping all these beautiful young men under the same label, incredibly damaging to their mental health and their sense of well-being and
Yeah.
their definition of being a male.
Yeah. And of course,
So,
there is research showing that young males are reacting to the way they're portrayed in the media and in school settings, by feeling that they're being demonized. It increases their insecurity and anxiety. We know that, and yet the media chooses to beat up this issue. I mean, it just drives me
I find it
crazy.
incredibly disappointing that words such as some or many are never used in the debate.
Yeah.
For example, when you say men are committing domestic violence, you also don't open the term domestic violence up to all the other forms that men are actually subjected to on occasions.
Yeah.
In my 34-year career, I've seen many men that are subjected to emotional and financial violence by ex-partners, such as not being able to see their children or having ridiculously hard conditions put on family court orders. So those sort of things weren't in the debate. And unfortunately, I think when people like me are shut down by even trying to open a conversation, it actually puts our ability to fight this absolutely abhorrent crime backwards by the fact that we are demonising our boys. And I see beautiful young men that are too scared to actually express themselves, and they have a very unnatural and warped sense of masculinity, what that involves.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredibly detrimental.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think is really negative is that if somebody like me speaks up for boys, the media tends to demonise me as somebody that doesn't understand the issue around girls or marginalises or doesn't take it seriously. I have a 13-year-old daughter myself. Of course I want her to be safe in society, but I also want strong, healthy-minded young men and that are not afraid to have a definition of masculinity that they own.
But the wonderful thing, John, is you're continuing to write your newsletter, and I noticed you were making a few comments the other day that were somewhat controversial.
Yeah, I think it's a really juxtaposition. The educational partner wants you to lead debate and lead your community, but and to do that, you have to sometimes put yourself out there and risk the issues and the problems that go with that. I'm basically saying we need to have an open debate about these complex issues. We just can't say that men are bad, women are victims. And at no stage have I ever said that the problem is not important and we shouldn't be tackling it. I'm just passionate about we need to allow our young men to develop an identity without this stigmatisation of violence.
I'm sure most people in your community totally agree with you, even if they don't dare say it. And my viewers will be absolutely applauding you, John. I think it's wonderful that we have leaders still like you who are prepared to stick their necks out, which you have to do to enter into this what's become very controversial territory. To stick your neck out and defend boys is a very rare thing, and I applaud you.
Thank you. It's an honour to be involved in education, and we always have to remember that we teach every child. We can't just jump on a bandwagon because it's easy for us. Sometimes we need to say, this is happening to our boys, it's happening to our young men, and it's going to be generational until we get them back if we don't do something now.
Thank you so much for being brave enough to come and talk to me.
It's an absolute honour to talk to you, Tina.